What would the world be like without oil? How does oil affect the economy? Oil has been a part of human society since the early days of our civilization. It has shaped every aspect of our lives, from transportation and heating to plastics and light bulbs, while simultaneously contributing to global air pollution. It's no surprise that we can't imagine doing without it in our daily lives. But what if oil had never been discovered? What would the world be like today? Oil is the backbone of modern life. It's essential to our economy, and instead of running out anytime soon, experts believe it will continue to be a major source of power for years to come. But what would happen if it stopped? Well, that depends on what you mean by what would happen. Oil is the lifeblood of many industries, and industries that rely on oil will suffer greatly without it. If oil ran out today, there wouldn't be enough financial support for most countries, and people in these nations could be facing depression and starvation. In fact, in some places the situation is already pretty dire. The effects of oil drying up would demonstrate that we are not so independent from our global economy after all. The biggest issue would be the lack of fuel to run transportation, whether that's your car to drive to work or trucks transporting goods across the country. With no gasoline, factories couldn't get their product to consumers, and food could not be moved around the country and world for consumption. Planes could not fly without fuel, and shipping containers full of goods would be left at sea or stranded on the docks until they deteriorated because they couldn't be transported by boat or rail without fuel either. After myth world without oil, for the last 150 years, we have been extracting it from the ground. It's the easy, economical fuel that makes the modern world possible. California, the Lean River oil, sees a black underground pool that contains more than 500 million barrels of oil, enough to fuel America for 4 weeks. 1 minute from now, it's all going to disappear around the world. The same thing will happen from Saudi Arabia to the North Sea to the massive tar sands of Alberta, Canada. The oil used to drive our cars or flies our planes, power our factories. Even the oil below the ground is about to vanish. Deep underground, the first ominous signal appears. We have already taken 1 trillion barrels of oil from the earth. Exporting nations like Saudi Arabia and Russia will order their boats back home. Their economy will shatter as they mainly depend on the exportation of oil. Saudi Arabia produces 9,580,000 barrels of oil per day, while Russia produces 10,835,000 barrels of crude oil daily. It is a massive blow to the U.S. as it's the largest oil producer, 12,108,000 barrels per day. It imports the most oil of any country on the planet. Every day, the U.S. produces over 8 million barrels of oil but consumes more than twice that amount. Impacts of oil on economy. 1. Biggest energy source. Crude oil and other liquids derived from fossil fuels are processed into petroleum products, which are used for a variety of purposes. Biofuels are also employed as petroleum products, most notably in blends with gasoline and diesel fuel. Historically, petroleum has been the most crucial energy source for total annual U.S. consumption. For example, we use petroleum products to propel vehicles, heat buildings, and produce electricity. In addition, the petrochemical business in the industrial sector uses petroleum as a raw resource, a feedstock, to manufacture products such as plastics, polyurethane, solvents, and hundreds of other intermediate and end-user commodities. In 2020, U.S. petroleum consumption averaged about 18.12 million barrels per day, including nearly 1 million barrels per day of biofuels. However, total petroleum consumption in the United States was approximately 13% lower in 2020 than in 2018, owing primarily to responses to the COVID-19 epidemic. Consumption of most petroleum products in 2020 was lower than in 2019. Did you know? The transportation sector accounts for the largest share of U.S. petroleum consumption. U.S. petroleum consumption by end-use sectors percentage share of the total in 2020. Transportation 66%, industrial 28%, residential 3%, commercial 2%, electric power 1%. If there will be no oil in the world, the whole system will collapse. Industrial and agricultural sectors will shatter. The economy will be exhausted and worn out. 2. Revolution in industrial sector. The 19th century was a period of significant change and fast industrialization. The iron and steel industry promoted new construction materials. The railroads connected the country, and oil discovery provided a new fuel source. In addition, settlers used oil as an illuminant for medicine and as grease for wagons and tools. If there wouldn't be oil, there must be no cars to drive, the vehicles to transport luggage from one area to another area. and we wouldn't be able to move to our desired destination fast and efficiently. 3. Use in the household sector. Oil is the building block of every household, from the couch to the kitchen stove, the car to the heat for your house. It's used in nearly all our modern-day conveniences. In fact, oil is on so many products that some people have begun questioning what would happen to society without it. Along with benefits of oil and cooling purposes to household depends upon different types of machinery for performing daily home chores. For making machines effective and increase their efficiency, we need oil lubricants. If there would be a deficiency of oil, the household sector will also suffer a lot. 4. Oil as a lubricant for machinery. When most of us think about oil, we tend to recall heating oil for the furnace, the gasoline, and the diesel that keeps our cars and trucks on the road. In addition, it acts as a lubricant for our vehicles and machinery. As a result, oil has become a foundation upon which our entire economy depends. If the world has to face situations without oil, then there would be a massive downfall of the economy worldwide. As we live in an agro-industrial era, our whole agricultural and industrial sector depends upon technology and machinery. 5. Oil in paints and pigments. Paints and pigments also contain a certain amount of oil. They generally consist of a base, a vehicle, always an oil, typically linseed oil, and a coloring pigment. The oil forms a base on the surface. It allows the paint to be spread evenly over the surface with a brush. It acts as a binder for the base and therefore stays on its surface. When dry, it forms a complex and classic film. 6. Oil in stationary items. Oil plays a crucial role in our lives even more than our expectations. Beyond very well-known uses, it is commonly a part of everyday usage. For example, in schools and offices, crayons, rulers, gel pens, ink and cartridges, glue, book covers, and binders contain a certain amount of oil during processing. If there would be no or less oil in the region, the stationery making industry will be in recession, and it will directly affect the students and offices. Stationery users will also face inconvenience during work. 7. In medical field. In the medical field, oil is used for film coating. It's also used as a binding agent for creams as well as in disposable syringes. In addition, petrochemicals are used to manufacture antibiotics, antibacterial, cough syrups, creams, ointments, heart valves, and other esoteric medical equipment that use processed plastics in production. 8. Oil used in gums. In food products like gums also have oil in the form of petroleum. It makes bubble gum chewable, soft, and elastic. This is how oil is as much essential as every other element necessary for life. 9. Clothing. The clothing and fabrics industry utilizes petroleum to produce nylon, spandex, polyester, and vegan leather. The significance of making use of petrochemicals is to keep our fabrics lightweight and water resistant. If there is oil deficiency, textile mills cannot stand on the platform of economic competition. 10. Toiletries. Oil finds its way into beauty and cosmetic products too. Soaps, shaving creams, lotion, shampoo, perfumes, and toothpaste include oil in the form of propylene and glycol. It's also found in popular beauty cosmetics like lipsticks, foundations, primers, eyeshadows, mascara, etc. This shows the importance of oil in our luxurious life. Without it, we won't be able to enjoy enchanting and delightful fragrances. Conclusion: time to sum up the debate, what would the world be like without oil and its economic impacts? We came to know that oil has a significant value. Either it is household, industrial sector, medical field, or any other area of the economy. It plays a crucial role in making up an industrial sector and raising the economy to a high level. Imagining the world without oil. Everything will die, stop working, or come to an extinct without oil. It is the core of our economic sector, around which our whole economy circulates. A significant portion of the economic boom depends upon the export and import of oil, considering the huge exporters Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, and Canada. It will be a great downfall of these countries if there is no oil anymore. The automobile industry will shatter as petroleum and diesel products are the critical resources for their effectiveness. The vehicles will run out of oil, and people will face difficulty traveling and moving the loads from place to place. It will shut down the power plants as they use generators to produce electricity, which again uses oil to run. The world superpower, the US and Russia, will face a drastic drop down in their exports. And by this severe change, there will be a significant reduction in economic life. That's all for today. Thank you.